We all know extraordinary people who do extraordinary things. They may not be famous or wealthy or powerful, but they have a generosity of spirit and a capacity for love that is awe-inspiring. Whether it's a friend who goes out of their way to help others or a complete stranger who does something kind and unexpected, these are the people who remind us that there is still goodness in the world. Meeting ordinary people who do extraordinary things is always a special experience, one that inspires hope and reminds us of our own potential to make a difference. Join me in taking a deep dive into why these special individuals do what they do. There's no denying that the world could use more kindness, and it all starts with each of us. My name's Irene Meyer, and I'm here to deliver stories about regular people who do inspiring things every day. Hey everybody, I am so glad that you are joining me today, and I will tell you, you are going to get so much value from today's interview. I am here with Joe Alvarez, who's been helping people transform their lives for over 15 years. He's coached people like actors, athletes, entrepreneurs, and business owners, sales organizations even, and people from many walks of life. Now, his mission, guys, is to impact and help transform as many people's lives as possible, and by helping people achieve their highest and true potential. I want you to take a look at this video.
So why do people come to see me, right? When somebody comes down to see me and they come make an appointment with me, my question is, why are you here? They want to increase their revenue, whether they want to become and get into their ideal physical shape, they want to deepen their relationships, they want to grow spiritually or personally. My question is, why is it that they don't have that already? My name is Joe Alvarez, and I'm a mindset and peak performance coach. Many years ago, I had my own darkness and struggles that I had to grow up with. And about 14 years ago, I had a big turning point in my life where I wanted to change and completely transform my life. And personally, I got sober and made a decision to start living differently. And if I can do that, then you can do that.
Joe showed me the type of person that I want to be. He believed in me and my ability to help people.
I'm so grateful for having had the opportunity, for deciding to make the investment in myself. I'm so grateful that Joe still went ahead with the online course.
To keep what you have, you got to give it away. And there's nothing better than experiencing freedom, experiencing purpose, experiencing fulfillment, and then turning out and showing somebody else how to do the same thing with their lives. If you really want to up-level your game, if you really want to take your life to a whole new destination and experience a whole new freedom, a whole new happiness, and a whole new feeling of fulfillment and success, make the decision and contact me.
Awesome. Well, before I kind of jump into things, Joe, I did want to share with you just how grateful I am that you're here with me. And I hope that, I don't share some tears with you today like I have in the past. Guys, I do have to tell you how we met. And I feel like it was fate. If some of you guys believe in that, I think it was meant for our paths to cross. But it was actually through my organization. I met a lady who also introduced me to Joe, and who is working directly with Joe, that I met him. I don't think I would have otherwise met him, to be honest. I wasn't seeking somebody in his space. And so I'm really grateful that I did cross paths with him. But he helped me in a really big way in my business. For those of you guys who do know what I do, obviously I lead a team in the financial industry, hoping to impact as many people, get a hold of their financial wealth, money management, and then, of course, giving them peace of mind and releasing that burden of that paycheck to paycheck cycle. And, to be in that space, not just to help clients, but to help a team of people get trained properly to help clients. A lot of business owners like myself face adversity, face challenges that, that we never would have otherwise faced being an employee, I guess. And Joe really helped me understand the kind of leader that I wanted to be, but B, what was inside of me. And I hope you guys get value. I know you guys will get value from him today. Welcome, Joe. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm grateful to be here.
Awesome. I can't tell you enough how much you've impacted my life, as well as like a lot of my colleagues who've used your services already, but impacted my life, not just in business, but in my personal life. Well, first of all, before I kind of just jump into kind of what you do, tell us a little bit about your personal journey and how you became, I guess what you call or attribute your title or role, a transformational coach. Like, what inspired you to pursue this career path?
That's a good question, and I'm going to try to put this into the Coles notes, obviously. So, essentially, what brought me into this path was my pain. Right? With often we hear that expression, turning pain into purpose, and that's essentially what I've done. So, I lived a good part of my life struggling with addiction problems, just self-image problems, depression, anxiety, I mean, you name it. And it'd be close to 17 years ago now where I had a big turning point in my life where it was, I had to change. I had to change my life. I made a decision to not live the way that I had been living. And it was kind of a life and death experience. And I just got to a moment of clarity where it was like, well, I've got the rest of my life ahead of me. Is this how I really want to live my life? And I made a decision not to. And since that moment, my passion for human potential was ignited. And so I had the privilege and opportunity of helping a lot of people, telling my story about my struggles, contextually in the addiction space. And I did that for many years while working in the corporate world. And essentially what happened is that in the corporate space, I was doing very good. Everything looked perfect on paper. I was making good money. I had the accolades. I was winning President Club awards. And I found myself at a place where I was just unfulfilled and discontented. And I wouldn't recommend this to anybody, but my path was I quit the job because I just couldn't take it anymore. Here it is. Everything looks good on paper, but internally I just wasn't happy. I didn't feel like I was living my purpose. And I left the job and I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? And I sat with that question for a while and I asked a few other questions about like, what do I like doing? And it was clear. It was very, very clear. I love helping people. I love helping people access their inner greatness or resourcefulness, if you will, so that they can live fulfilling lives, right? In the grand scheme of things, we're not here for that long. We might as well be living life with purpose and in fulfillment, whatever that looks like, because it's different for everybody. And so it was very clear to me. And, when we make decisions like that, I don't know, something happens in the universe that conspires to support us in our decisions when it comes heartfelt, when it comes from the deepest part of ourselves. And not long after, I was in a course getting certified as a coach.
Wow.
Yeah. It was quite interesting. Like we talk about how the universe aligns itself in order to support us, like you and I meeting, right? So I was away in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was telling my story about my addiction, right, in the hopes of helping other people. And I was telling the audience that, I was in the process of changing careers and I was thinking of this coaching business. And after I'd finished that, a man came up to me and said, I know somebody who certifies people to become a coach. And then I called that guy. And it was funny because we both had people that we knew in common. And then I ended up becoming a coach, and then I became a master coach and a master trainer. I became all of that. I did all of those hours in terms of, learning how to help people in the best, in my best way, how to help people create transformation in their lives and create the lives that they want.
Wow. For a lot of my audience and maybe your audience, a lot of this is what you're saying is pretty new, even though maybe the kind of information you share with people is pretty old.
Yeah.
I would probably want to ask, just so that my audience knows me, what specific niche do you serve as a transformational coach? Like, and how do you help your clients achieve their goals?
Yeah. So typically the niche that I will serve are usually entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
But I mean, like you said in the beginning of this interview, like, I mean, I've had the privilege of helping an array of different people from many different walks of life, and but typically the niche that I serve are entrepreneurs, and maybe that's just because I'm an entrepreneur as well, and I know what it takes to create success in business, um, and so the other question that you asked is, how do I help them specifically? Is that what you
Yeah.
asked? Yeah.
How do you help? I know there's probably many different ways, but like, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess generally.
So being a transformational coach, what I do is I'm an expert in subconscious transformation. And so what I mean by that is, I help people become aware of what they're not aware of, essentially, because when we go out to try to achieve outcomes, stuff comes up, right? Whether it's beliefs, whether it's these just like self-defeating stories, whether it's obstacles. And, the question in business, I mean, we hear this often, 80% of business is in here, right? The rest is the strategies, the marketing, the systems, which are all very important. But even if you have the strategies, the marketing, the vehicle, even if you have that, if you don't have the mental fortitude or the inner resourcefulness to face the obstacles, which are inevitable because obstacles are a part of our growth, if you don't have the ability to think creatively, to see what you're not seeing, to learn from quote unquote mistakes, to manage your emotions, goals and outcomes become very difficult to achieve. Mm-hmm. So how do I help my clients? Well, when I talk about subconscious or unconscious, I guess to keep it very simple, our minds, which is that 80% of business, which is the majority of what it takes to create a successful business. If I were to simplify it, it's, we look at it in two parts. You have your logical thinking mind, which is your rational decision-making mind, which is, according to neuroscience, maybe 5% of your mind. The rest is subconscious, 95%. And so this subconscious mind or unconscious mind, I use the words interchangeably, is what runs your life, like it runs your body. So for those of you listening, you're not thinking about getting enough oxygen into your lungs like you are now because I brought it to your conscious attention, but it happens unconsciously. And so there are also beliefs and stories and values and programs and patterns and paradigms that happen unconsciously that run your life that most people are not even aware of, or they're aware of it, but they don't know how to change it.
Right.
So I help these entrepreneurs change at a core level. And what do I mean by that? At an unconscious level, so that their mind gets working in the way that they want it to work. And so like coaches, for example, if we look in the sports industry, and I've coached a few athletes in professional sports, here we have players who are performing at a peak level, right? In a professional level, and yet they still have coaches. Why? Because there are blind spots. There are things that they cannot see. And it's the same for me, right? Me as a coach, I have a coach. Because even with all my knowledge and all my experience and my education, there are things that I cannot see, which a coach helps, shine in front of me so that I can actually see it. Because once you become aware of what's not working or what's working, then you can actually change it or add to it. But if you're not aware of it, you're not aware of it. How do you change something you're not aware of?
Oh gosh, I think you're blowing people's minds right now, because I mean, what you just said there, people probably have never thought of, and it's very simple. If you were to look at some qualities that people have that would undergo a personal transformation, typically, what do you find? in terms of these qualities that people would want to seek your help for personal transformation?
Like what qualities are essential for personal transformation or professional transformation?
No, maybe not so much, but I guess describing the kind of person who you feel would need a personal transformation. Like, what kind of feelings is this person going to be feeling that maybe they should take a look at the techniques and the strategies you provide?
Yeah, well, typically it's a feeling of frustration, a feeling of being stuck, like they're spinning their wheels. They're doing a bunch of stuff, but not the results aren't happening. Typically people that are, I mean, the feelings, if we're talking about the emotions, they're worried about, not creating a successful business, which can translate into like paying your bills, into creating abundance in their lives. Despair, like maybe not despair quite, sometimes yes, but just like, why is everybody else achieving results and I'm not achieving results? These are the feelings that my clients will feel often. Why would they need me? Well, because they're trying to achieve a result that they've never been able to achieve, or that result, they've achieved it, but then they haven't been consistent with it and they went back to not having results. Right. And usually it's revenue. Usually it's revenue focused, but generally speaking, even when people come to see me to create more revenue, it's not even about the actions to create the revenue, but it's more about how they're thinking, right? It's more about how they're being. So for example, wow, I'm thinking of a client now. I remember one of my clients who wanted to break like the $150,000 mark, and he was doing like, I think it was like $80,000 or $90,000 consistently. And he was trying to break this $150,000 mark, which is a leap, right? An extra, $60,000, $70,000 revenue in a year. It's a leap. And it takes a certain level of mental capacity in order to produce that. But he also grew up in a household which was poor, right? And he had some programming or some paradigms around his beliefs about money and about worthiness and about deservedness, and those very things that he was unaware of was actually what was stopping him from breaking the $150,000 mark, to which when he solved, I think he did like $176,000 that year.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So, the way that I help people is very core level. It's very much in terms of, how are you being and how are you thinking? How are you feeling here in order to do the actions that you need to do in order to create the results that you want to have.
Right.
But if you're not aware of what's going on here, if you're not aware of what's stopping you, then you're not aware, then you can't change it.
Yeah. It's
that
whole adage, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And awareness is the catalyst to change. If you want change, and some people don't want change, which is completely fine. And those people will not come see me, and that's okay. I'm not making any value judgments on that. But the people that want to create results that they've never had, they're the ones that come to see me. And the way that I help them is cultivate the type of person that they've never been in order to create the results they've never had.
Right. Wow. Like, I guess if we were to kind of dig deeper as to you and like, what is your mission as a transformational coach? Do you have a specific mission?
Yeah, well, it's to transform the planet. And I do that one person at a time, one coaching group program at a time, one training at a time, obviously, because, I know the effects I know what the impact is, because not only have I lived it myself, but I've seen it, with my own eyes, hundreds of times over, when people create results that like bring them tears of gratitude, and it could be making a certain amount of money. It could be leading a team. It could be getting into better health. It could be deepening their relationship with their spouse, with their partner. It could be just them feeling good about themselves and confident about themselves, or worthy or valuable. I know the impact of that, because that gets spread out not just to them, but to their families, to the community, to the society, to the universe, to the planet. I mean, think about it. I mean, we live this short life that we're here. And as I was saying earlier, you might as well be living a life that brings about fulfillment, so that when you get to the end of this life, it's like, damn, I'm proud of what I did in my life. Rather than living in regret, rather than living in, oh, I should have done that.
Right.
Or why did I not speak up? Or why did I not say exactly how I was feeling? Why did I not go and try that thing out? Right? We've got one life. So we might as well live it with fulfillment and purpose. And so my mission is, when I'm speaking with either one person or I'm coaching a group of people, is to help them is to be empowered myself, to empower them so that they can empower others. Right? And how do we do that? Is we live a life that we're happy with. We love the life that we live, and we live lives that we love. And what does that do? Well, I mean, it creates a sort of ripple effect to the people around us. Sure, will there be naysayers? Yeah, of course there will be. Will there be people that are just content in their misery? Well, maybe not content, but it's like comfortable in there. Yeah, sure, they will. But if we can impact, one person, two people, three people, then it starts to have a ripple effect in our society.
Yeah. Wow. And I can tell right now, just based on like the couple times that we worked together, guys, I've done his inside job program twice now. And I would say the second time even was a lot different than the first time, because of what I learned about myself in the first time. And I could say, like, just from experience, how it's impacted me, my team, my future team, and my own marriage, in my relationships, in my family. This isn't just for, like you had mentioned, it's not just for entrepreneurs, but that's typically the group of people that seem to be attracted to your work, because they're again, like you said, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially at the beginning, feel stuck, but they don't want to go back to that job, and they just want to make this work, which I'm sure going through your program is definitely going to help. And great story about that client of yours who was able to kind of break through that money behavior or money habit that he had, or whatever it is that he brought in. Identity. That's right. Yes, absolutely. So the inside job, guys, like that is definitely something you want to look into. I will share Joe's information in the comments below. And I'm not sure if you feel okay about sharing some of your favorite tools, maybe one technique or something for some of our viewers. If not, that's totally okay. But something for an audience to maybe even take and consider. Do you have any tools or techniques?
I mean, I've got a lot of tools. I think, well, this is the one that's coming up for me now. So obviously I'm supposed to share it for a reason, but I was taught once upon a time, if you want a better quality of life, begin by asking better quality questions, right? So often when things aren't going our way, and I put that in air quotes, when things aren't going our way, we tend to ask the wrong questions. Why is this happening? Why didn't this work out? Why am I not, succeeding in this? And that's not usually the right question, because that why question will usually just give you excuses or reasons. And you can find the reasons, right? Like whether you think you can succeed or you can't, whatever, you're right. So you might as well ask yourself better questions, like, what do I need to learn from this? Or what's great about this situation? Now, given a situation, that might be a very difficult question to ask, and you might answer nothing. And then you ask it again. What's great about this situation? Well, I learned this. Okay. And you ask it again. Well, what's great about this situation? What do I need to learn? And all of a sudden, the way you start representing the situation to yourself starts to change. And when you start to change, then your life can start to change. Right? So start asking yourselves better questions. And one question that you can ask yourself is what's great about this situation, or what do I need to learn from this situation? And even if it's going well, and you ask yourself, what do I need to learn from this situation? Well, that will expand your awareness and your growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see how somebody can become more self-aware just by asking that question.
Yeah. Often we ask the wrong questions that just keep us in a problem. If you're facing a problem, if you're facing a struggle, if you're facing an obstacle, you want to get out of it, right? I was told one time, you're stuck in a box, and to get out of the box, you need the instructions, but the instructions are on the outside of the box. So how do you get out of the box?
Yeah.
You need to ask different questions.
Right.
And what's great about this, or what do I need to learn when you're in an obstacle, you're in a problem, will shift and direct your thinking to probably ways you never thought was there by just asking why.
Yeah, great strategy.
Yeah.
Write that down. That's a really great question. And like you said, even when things are good, asking the same question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I guess if I was going to end this off, Joe, asking you the question of if you were sitting down with a client who, I mean, we are all, I shouldn't say we're all, we have been conditioned to feel like if we did ask questions. So let's say I have somebody who's working at a job, and a lot of us who were employed, I guess, or who are employed, feel very timid about asking questions about anything at work, because they feel like, well, can't ask a question because I'll look dumb and I'll look like I'm incompetent, so I'll just hide from this. And then you take that same person, you bring them into being an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're struggling with the fact that they don't know a lot, but they actually have the condition. They've been conditioned to think that, well, if I ask too many questions, or if I don't seek the answers, then I won't look capable or competent.
Right.
Is there anything you can direct that one person to start doing, I guess, maybe in their daily life, to start coming out of that condition that asking questions doesn't mean you're weak or you're dumb, or whatever you want to say?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things with that. Is that, first of all, it's like the best, because when people, for that, if we take that specific instance, right, of asking questions, the person's operating from fear on some level, like fear of looking stupid, or fear of not knowing, or not being competent, like you said. And often the best way through fear, wait for it, is through fear. You just walk through it. You ask the damn question. You might as well ask the question. And, the second thing is like the meaning that you give it, right? So it's like, as human beings, we're meaning making machines, and we make things mean things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, is the meaning that we give it, is it conducive and supportive to what we want to create in our lives? So it's like asking questions. You could make asking questions mean whatever you want. You could make it mean that you're incompetent. And if you make it mean that, well, you'll be right, because you'll condition that, or even if it's been conditioned. Or you can make it mean that you're curious, that you're interested. You can make it mean asking questions means that you care. Right? Yeah. So it's like, look at the meaning that you're giving it and make it mean whatever you want it to mean. Who says asking questions means you're incompetent? So maybe some guy said that at some point in history, but it doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
Right? Do you know very competent people that ask questions?
Oh, yeah.
So do I.
Yeah.
In fact, I love it when people ask me questions as a coach, as a teacher, as a trainer, because because the meaning that I give it is that they're interested, that they're curious, that they want to learn.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
See,
appreciate that.
sometimes it's just shifting that perspective,
Yeah.
asking the right questions and shifting the perspective, and it changes the whole meaning, and it changes the whole behavior around it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I hope you got a lot of value from what Joe just shared with us, and I could go on for a long time because I know Joe has so much value to provide. Before we kind of end off, Joe, what's one lasting thing you could share with our audience? Why would you feel like it was important for maybe anybody to really reach out to you? I know my reasons, and I definitely would propose you all the time, 100% of the time. But I'd love everyone to know, like, just how good you are.
Well, repeat the question. Why? Repeat the question again.
Why choose transformational coaching versus your regular life coach, if you will? And maybe not necessarily one or the other, but
Yeah.
given what you've done for so many people, what could you say?
Well, I think the biggest reason why you would need to choose transformational coaching or try to coach is because you matter. Because you matter. Because your existence, your expansion, your results, your outcomes, your goals, your family, your wellness, your health, your mental health matters, doesn't it? And I don't think we're here to do it alone, right? As human beings, I think we're meant to help each other. I mean, we're each responsible for our results, but I think we don't need to do it alone, right? And the reason why you reach out to me is because your goals and your outcomes and what you want to achieve matters to you. And what I do fast tracks you on the way to do that, right? You can do it by yourself for sure, like read a bunch of books and watch some YouTube videos, and like you could do that. Now, you might get your outcome, you might not, it might take longer. But if what you want really matters, if the outcomes that you want to achieve really matter, and if you achieved it would bring you tears of gratitude, then maybe I can help you with that. I say maybe because it's like we always need to make sure that it's a fit, right? I don't take on everybody that asks me, because I'm not here to help everyone, right? I'm here to help the people that I help, which I know impacts the whole world. But yeah, I mean, if you want to reach out to me, no commitment. I mean, just commit to be on the call, but we can have a discussion about where you're at and where you want to go and how can I help you. And if it's a fit, it's a fit, no pressure. If it's not, no hard feelings. But reach out to me because your results matter.
And that's it, guys. I appreciate you, Joe. Thank you so much for being my guest. And I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for what you've done for not just me, but the team I lead and the family that I have. And again, I will put the details on how to get a hold of Joe in the comments below, guys. I do hope you reach out to him because he will change your life. Have an awesome day. I got you all.
All right. Bye.
Hey, good afternoon. I want to come on here.